It's gonna be here.
Back up.
Oh no, oh that hurt. It's still spinning when you have a headache.
Hello, welcome to UW's Kenshi Kai at home. We are about to start a jiu-jitsu class in about 2 minutes. We'll just give you guys a few minutes to kind of get people together. And let's see. No, I don't have anyone here yet, so wait a second. But we'll start up in just a couple of minutes. You don't have to stand in front of the camera. Stretch out, move around.
We'll just sit. I'll sit and talk to Maya. Maya, you can go hang out back there for a while.
Anything looks good in the frame?
Yep. Why'd you go facing this way?
What do you
Why'd you
mean?
go facing this way? You did a different angle than last time.
Because we did a, last time didn't we go vertical?
I guess we did go vertical. Sure. Let's show this is better.
So for those of you joining us, we're going to start up in just like 1 minute. We just want to give some more people a chance to come in and get ready. For those of you that are already here, I want you to go find that little share button right over there and go hit share so that your friends that didn't see that we're doing this thing right now can see it and they can join us by the time we get started in a minute. Go ahead. Why don't you go ahead as you get started?
Daddy.
Yep.
It also sends a message to all the nurses.
There.
What? I don't care. I also got it. I have 3 counts, so I got it on all 3.
All right, so in preparation, if you are at home and you are watching, get yourself an area that you can move around in a little bit. Obviously, if you have some mats, great, but you probably don't. Some carpet or a soft area. Grab another person. You don't need it for the whole thing. We're going to have a bunch of drills at the beginning that you can do by yourself. We will try to have as many of the drills in the middle that are done mostly with a partner to be able to be done by yourself. So if you are by yourself, you should be able to do a big chunk of it. And yeah, get ready to go. On your own, stretch out a little bit. We'll do a normal warm-up. For those of you that know our regular classes, we'll do the normal thing in just a minute. But do some stretching or whatever on your own now, and we'll start up in just a second. Hannah, who just said, can I share it? Yes, feel free, go ahead. To everybody, we definitely might have a point at which we will have specific content for people that are kind of currently enrolled students. But right now, with everyone being home and needing to find exercise and find things to do on their own, right now it's all wide open. So if anyone wants to share any of the things that we post to the general public, feel free.
Has over 1,000 members.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Hannah is sharing it with over 1,000 women who do jiu-jitsu.
Who may or may not be currently online right now and care about our class. But if they care and they want to see a class or jump in, fantastic. Go ahead. All right. So let's get ourselves warmed up, standard way in class, and you guys join along. If this is brand new to you, if you've never done a jiu-jitsu class before, or you're been dragged into it by a significant other or roommate or someone like that, feel free to just like watch the first rep and catch up 2 or 3 into it, or your partner, whoever's there, can explain it to you a little bit. If you're by yourself, just jumping into a jiu-jitsu class here for the first time, follow along with these movements at the beginning. Your goal is just to get warmed up and to start moving around in the way that's useful for jiu-jitsu. So we'll start off by just sitting forward and going into our break fall. You can just face the same way, Jen. Yep, right there's perfect. And we're gonna do break falls, falling straight back. Don't let your head hit, let your hands hit when they would. And 1, back up, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're gonna fall to the side, doesn't matter which side, but both of you should fall the same way. We're both falling to our right, tipping over sideways, slapping with just the one hand there. And 1. Again, 2. One more time, 3. Going the other way, and 1, 2, and 3. We're now going to do an exercise we call rolling or balancing the ball. And our goal is to come up and balance on the tops of our shoulders for a moment, come back down, And then repeat. In this one, your head will touch the ground on each one, and you're doing it at your own speed. You don't have to be timed with a count or with your partner. And begin, go. Engage your core right at the top for a moment, come back down. You can go up and down a lot, you can hover for a bit, and then come back down, whichever you prefer. We're going to now take ourselves into triangles, and so we're going to lock our knee over our ankle on one side, come back down, and then on the next time up, we're going to cross the other knee over the other ankle. Jennifer, go ahead, start going. So if you want to see the full motion, you'll see Jennifer over here doing it. For those that are brand new, the goal here is to lock your ankle underneath your knee and bend the knee over it. We don't want to lock over the top of our foot. We want to lock over the joint of our ankle with the back of the joint of our knee. And alternating back and forth. Very good. Keep going. You can do it slow and controlled or a bit more holistic if you want to start heating yourself up. And down. Next motion is our bridges. We're going to reach up over our head, and we're going to bring our belly and waistline up towards the ceiling as we reach and touch the floor behind us, alternating left and right. And begin. Go. For those that don't know the exercise, you can see Jennifer doing it here. And our goal is to get our hips up, 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 high. Use this as both a stretch for your core, also a way to start opening up. A lot of the motions in jiu-jitsu curl you small into a ball, so we often want to have this counter motion of opening ourselves up. Very good. Couple more. Next exercise is going to be our leg pommeling. So we'll lay flat on our back, and we're going to draw a pair of circles with our feet that are passing each other. Go ahead, begin. We're going to do some elements of guard retention today, how you keep a guard against somebody trying to pass it. The first line of defense of your guard is your feet. Your legs are your longest limbs, and your feet are the furthest away. And so that's the first line of defense for any guard is your feet, and so they need to have some dexterity. Change directions, go the other way. Again, you can do big, large, smooth motions, or you can do fast and more dynamic motions. And down. Last exercise here just for the warm-up. Everyone put one shin in front of us and put the other leg behind, what we call an S-sit because of the shape of our legs. And we're now going to swing our feet in front of us and go to the other side. And begin. Alternating the legs. For someone who's brand new to jiu-jitsu, this motion might feel a little bit foreign. Just take your time, go slow. You'll get it after a few reps. Think of both feet moving at the same time. Very common jiu-jitsu skill is being able to kind of pat your head and rub your belly at the same time. Being able to do two different movements with different limbs at the same time. 5, 4, and stop. Very good. We're now going to warm up our hands a little bit. And so Jennifer is going to continue just through the grips on her own. The rest of you can kind of do that with her. People that are new to one of our classes, you can look here and see as we warm up our hands and our forearms how to go through our grips. So we'll start with our 10-fingered grip or S grip. We'll go to our palm-to-palm grip. Notice one thumb is on the inside of the other hand. We'll go from palm to palm to covering the watch. So we're wearing a watch, we cover it with all 5 fingers. We go from our watch grip to our fist grip. From here, we're gonna go to both elbows. From here, we're gonna go up into our figure 4, and then back down to our elbows, back down to our fist, back down to our watch, back to our palms, back to our fingertips. Flip the fingers to the other side. Other palms, other watch, other fist, other figure 4, excuse me, other elbows, other figure 4, and then back down. Take your time. On each grip, give a little pull, because remember, we're warming up our fingers and our hands and our wrists and everything. Good. Continue on your own for another 15 seconds. Just getting everything fired up. and shake out your hands. Very good. We're gonna move on to our Kimura grips. Jennifer and I are gonna face each other. And go ahead and go right here, facing me on the diagonal. Good. All right, so one of us is high, one of us is low. When I come up, my head's gonna come out of the frame, but you guys will still be able to see the technique. If this is familiar to you, you can kind of start doing it right away or explain it to your partner if they don't know it. Otherwise, you can watch here. So Jennifer's gonna go in what we call our scarecrow position, arms up. I'm gonna come up high. I'm gonna grip the wrist with the same side arm. I'm gonna reach over the top, and I'm gonna grip my own wrist into a Kimura grip from here. I'm then gonna do the same thing on the other side. I won't explain it. I'm then gonna drop down low. Jennifer's gonna posture up high and do the same thing. Wrist over the top and grip. Same thing to the other side. Very good. On your own, begin. Maya, come on in here, please. Maya is going to substitute for me and go with Jennifer, working on the same Kimura grips. If you are by yourself and you want to work on a Kimura grip, what you're going to do is what we call a Kimura sit-up. So what it is you're going to lay on your back from here, and it's going to be a similar motion to doing a real Kimura from the bottom of the guard. So what you're going to do is sit yourself up to an elbow. We often don't like you being on your elbow. We often like being on the hand. But for the Kimura grip itself, we can be on our elbow. And you're going to reach over the top and grab your own wrist. Hopefully you guys can see it from down here. And then roll on back to your back. You're then going to sit on up to the other side, reach over the top, grab your elbow, come on back down. And so we're coming on up on each side. It's also an excellent core exercise on each one. You also, if you'd like, can come all the way up to your hand, wrap, and then drop to the Kimura grip. That's also a reasonable way to practice this drill by yourself. Ten more seconds. And time. We're now going to work on an arm drag motion. Again, my students will be familiar. Other students might not. Jen's going to face me first. She might even stay in the general area. We'll see in and out in a minute. I'm going to be sitting in a butterfly position, and Jennifer is going to be postured up on her knees. So she's up higher. So if I were to try to go for a Kimura from here when I'm lower, it's going to be super easy for her to yank her arm out, and it's just not going to, I don't have a good angle of attack on it. But this wrist grip is still valuable. So I'm going to grip the wrist the same way. Instead of reaching over the top, I'm going to reach underneath. Notice here how the pinky side of my hand lines up right with the back of the elbow. And now with both arms, I drag across my body to get Jennifer's hands on the mat. I'm not trying to throw her all the way across. I'm also, if you notice, not falling back where the relationship between the two of us basically stays the same. I'm dragging her past me to the mat. This allows me to go towards the back and go for a variety of things. Other side, I'm gripping the wrist the same way as I was in a Kimura. Underneath, drag to the side. In the same way that when we did the Kimura, the person higher has to be the one attacking. In this case, the person lower has to be the one attacking. So Jennifer's sitting low, she grips my wrist, she comes underneath with the other hand and drags me across her body until my hands get to the mat. If you're on a hardwood floor or even a carpet, be very gentle with it. We don't want anyone jamming a wrist hitting the ground here. She comes through underneath and drags towards the camera there. 2 for 2. Come on back in, Maya. Arm drags 2 for 2 over there. So for us here by ourselves, we can kind of do the same motion on our own. The idea is to start and play with this butterfly position where our feet are in close and our elbows are inside our knees and we can lean forward. If your flexibility doesn't allow this position yet, work on it, work on getting to the butterfly, work on getting that forward position. It'll take time for some of you. Some of you will have it naturally right out of the gate, and that's fantastic. We're gripping here and we're shooting through. So we can practice this arm drag motion all by itself without a partner. If you want, you can also have an object here that you would grip and pull across. You sometimes see these funny videos of people doing a lot of jiu-jitsu techniques on a chair or on something else around their house. It's not illegitimate. It's not illegitimate. There's anything you can kind of use the same motions on. We can practice doing either this or other techniques. Obviously it doesn't work as well as a person, but we'll take what we can get. 10 more seconds. Go ahead, please. And time. Fine. Good. Go ahead, Mike. Get on out of there. All right. So we're going to move on to the section of class where we work on some escapes. This is, we do every single class just about. Sometimes the way we do it is we set every single escape. Sometimes we do it where I give you the option to pick which one you're gonna do. So last class, we did all 3 of them. We did an escape from the back, we did an escape from the mount, we did an escape from side control. Here we're gonna do, you get to pick which one. So if you don't know any of them, copy the ones that we are doing. If you do, then pick whichever one you want and go ahead on your own. I'm gonna start with getting away from the bottom of the mount with the knee elbow escape. Jennifer can pick whichever one she wants when it's her turn. So Jen times the top of the mount. I'm gonna describe it quickly. If you wanna know more details about this, look at our other video about the full class. We explain this in detail in that one. We're going to do it 2 for 2. You can do it 1 for 1. Any style that you'd like is good. What are you going to do?
Anything?
Yep, any escape.
I'll do from the back.
Jennifer's going to do pump handle escape from the back. This is another one that we explained in detail in the last class video. So if you're not sure about it, want to check on it later, feel free to go there. And it's coming off of the choke, not off of just the regular position. You should finish in a guard of any kind, but be purposeful about it. Plan on the guard. Plan on the guard that you would like to go to. I'm trying to finish up in half butterfly every single time. One side it feels very comfortable, the other side not so much. But that's good. That's how we start getting better at both sides. With the back escape drill, maybe you guys noticed, I always attack with the same hand, and she's defending the same hand. I'm now going to attack with the other hand, but I'm doing it much less often because most people start their attack on the back with their right hand, right-handed or otherwise, because most chokes are taught with the right hand, even if you're left-handed. So I'm going to do a left-hand one out of every 5 or 6, not every other, because she's just not going to see it as often. But you should practice both. You should practice both on anything that you will end up having to respond to. In other words, if you can initiate it like an attack or a pass, you can practice one side kind of forever. But if you're working on escapes or defense, you need to work on both sides because you don't get to pick where the attack comes from. Your opponent gets to pick because they're the one attacking. Last set, and you guys can finish up on us too. Last one. Okay, last thing we're going to do in what we call kind of the open section, where you guys get to do whatever you want, is I want you to pick a submission of any kind. Any submission. It can be upper body, lower body, anything you'd like. It could be a bit of a setup to get to it. It could just be a single technique, whatever you'd like, but it's going to be offense. It's going to be an attack, and I want you to pick whichever one that you'd like and go there. You can do the ones that we're doing. I'm going to work on a specific heel hook. You guys can do the same one, or you can do something different. It's entirely up to you. I recommend if it's a fast technique, do 2 or 3 in a row and then let your partner go. If it takes a little while, like it's a whole setup, do it once and then let your partner go. I'm going to work on one of our heel hooks from a double outside position. I got a very aggressive tap. That's always a good sign. Until you have to drive home first.
Someone's been training in the off season.
No one's been training in the off season. What do you want to work?
I'm gonna rear naked choke.
Rear naked choke. push the foot off. That must be it. Okay. That's not as good. One more set. Very good. Okay, so what we're going to move on to now is kind of the meat of today's class, and it's going to have to do with guard retention. So a little bit of explanation for either the newest students or just, I think sometimes these concepts, these ideas, it's great to like review them anyway, to bring them back in. Oh my God, you're in the camera. Like, know where you are. Guard retention means how to keep a guard so that other people, as they're trying to pass, as they're trying to get to mount or side control or whatever, run into problems. Guard recovery is when you are in a bad position and getting your guard back. We're going to work on retention today. And the best thing about retention, or the best way to do retention, is to use the tools that we're going to give you guys. So as I described at the very beginning, the longest limbs are going to be the first line of defense. And there's two concepts that we want to understand going into it. And the concepts are those of posts and of frames. A post, I want you to think like a wooden post in the ground, would be a straight arm or a straight leg. That's a post. It's a locked out limb. A frame, like it sounds, it's a bent corner, like our forearm and our elbow, or a shin acting like, instead of being able to lock out, we're using our arms and our shins as this kind of shape to stop someone from moving forward. When we're posting, we're usually not pushing, but we don't have to use muscle. When we're framing, it often involves a little bit more muscle. However, at the same time, that can be an advantage for us, especially if we're bigger than our partner. If we're smaller, posts will often be a bit more valuable, and frames will be a little less valuable. If you're bigger, then the opposite can be true. One pretty obvious concept, but you might not think about it, is that a post is going to have your partner further away from you, right? It's a full length of the arm. A frame is going to have someone a bit closer to you, but you cover more surface area with your arms. So these are our different options, a post and a frame, and then it applies the same with a foot or a shin in the same way. You have to be more precise with a hand or a foot. You can be less precise with a forearm and a shin, but they end up being a bit closer, and it means if they get past it, they're closer to the end there. Other nice thing about a post is that when and if your post fails, your frame is still available. If you have a frame and someone starts to get past your frame, there's no way that you're going to get a post on the inside of a frame. So posts are our furthest distance, frames are shorter than that. Hooks, underhooks, and overhooks, different thing entirely. We'll look at those at another time. They also are a big part about guard retention, but right now we're looking at the idea of pushing away. So the first thing we're going to look at is posts with our feet, which many people don't use. Your main goal here is simply keep your partner away from you. So Jennifer's going to stand up here. And now she's going to start moving forward. I'm going to retreat back to my back. And the goal here simply is to use my feet to stay in contact with Jennifer and keep her away from me. All she's going to do is move around and try to get closer to me. She's going to try and get her body, her hips, her feet closer to mine. And I'm simply pushing her away. She's going to go ahead and move like slightly bigger motion all the way around and such. And I'm just keeping contact with the ball. I don't want to be kicking. I don't want to be aggressive and fast, or one of us is going to get injured. I'm just trying to keep contact. Now, she's going to now add a little bit of resistance by knocking my feet away. Right. And the goal, go ahead, keep going, right, is that I keep bringing them back in and keep touching right around the hips. I'm looking to put a foot right on the bone of the hip on each one. That's it. If she were to get herself a little bit closer and lower, then I could even bring these feet up towards her shoulders as well. And that can be very valuable. Right now, we're just worrying about posting these feet. Don't add too many hooks or other things like that right now. We're just looking to post and push away. This drill is for me. So Jennifer's not like killing herself to try and pass my guard. She's not working really hard here. She's just giving me nice, like a input to be able to work on this idea of posting my feet. So now she's gonna be on the ground. And she's gonna lay back. And I'm gonna work my way in, and she's just using the balls of the feet, no hooks, just the balls of the feet to keep me away. Right, wherever I go, she's keeping these feet. If you have a partner, like, Jennifer's dealing with someone who's a lot taller than her, so sometimes she'll only be able to reach the thigh. I'm gonna bend my knees a little bit so she can come up here, right, and use the ball of the feet. Now I'm gonna start adding that resistance. I'm gonna move her feet away. Right, and she just keeps re-pommeling those feet back in, trying to make contact to keep me away. Very good. Come all the way around, she'll stay with me, very good. All the way around, stays with me. Try to think with the ball of your foot. Think the ball of the foot making contact, not the heel, nor not more importantly, just the whole foot as a whole, but the ball of the foot, very good. And time, we'll switch bottom. You wanna come on in, Maya, for one of these? Okay, Maya's actually gonna come on in. She'll be on the bottom, Jennifer will be on top. And the key again is the ball of the foot. Be good, go ahead. So Jennifer's moving around, go to your back, Maya. And no grabbing, no hands, just the ball of the foot up to the hip. Up to the hip. Keep her away, yep. Yep. Not the heel, but the ball, right. And this is about you thinking of your feet as like another pair of hands, right? Can you reach out and touch them with that edge? Very good, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And now as Jennifer starts knocking her feet away, right, she just has to keep re-pommeling. Think of the same motion that we did in class, and this is something you could very easily be practicing at home, just touching spots in the air, touching spots on a wall with your feet, trying to practice this dexterity of using your feet like another pair of hands. Very good. And switch on bottom. And so last set, Jennifer's gonna be on the bottom again. Maya's gonna move around this time, and Jennifer's just gonna keep making contact. Now notice I was specific about no hooks with your feet. I want us today to think of like hooks, both of the arms and the feet, as a different tool. And we're not addressing it today. Ultimately, the way you're gonna have a very powerful guard is to put a lot of these tools together. Your hooks and your posts, your frames and your movements, all of these things put together. It's good to isolate them. And so today we're simply working on the posting of the foot to the hip. Go ahead, Maya, start knocking her feet away. Right, and now notice every time Maya knocks her away big, it takes a bigger motion for Jennifer to recover that foot. Very good. Yeah, yeah. Throw it out of there with your hands, yes. There you go. And now, yeah. Good. Okay. And time. Very good. Come on out for a moment, Maya, and Jennifer's going to come on in with me. And so now we're going to just take the same idea, but take it to the frame of our legs instead. So if Jennifer stands up, there's absolutely no use for my direct shin frame or shin shield. She's too far away. It doesn't make any sense. So this is not when your leg frame is going to come into play. The leg frame is going to come into play once Jennifer has already come down to the ground. So why don't we come over here a little bit, just make sure we're kind of framed in the camera right. Back up, back up, back up, and come down to your knees. So here, when we're already down to the ground, this is the moment where the shin shield or the framing of the legs is going to come into play. So here we are. Either I was sitting up, or we're going to actually play as though we're already back down here. And now Jennifer is going to scoot her way around my bottom knee. So this is her on her way to passing my guard, right? If she's able to get her chest to my chest, it's over. I'm done. I got my guard passed. There's some last-ditch efforts we can do to escape that, but we're not going to do that yet. From here, my goal is to re-pommel, not my feet. That's not the goal. Is to just get my knee to the inside of her hip line again here. Many times we work to bring it all the way across. It brings my knee right close to her hand where she can then launch it back over. And so that's not actually where I want it. I want it right here so that when she goes to push on it, the angle's not as good, and it's going to allow me to bring the other one over as well. So Jennifer starts coming towards me. I'm going to walk my legs away, and I'm going to get my shin in here. Now, Jen's gonna start working to kind of push that shin away. And while she does that, I'm gonna bring the other shin in as well. And so, while she's fighting on this, go ahead. Other knee comes on in. And now we're simply working on using our shins as these frames. So Jennifer's gonna, just like before from standing, she's gonna start working her way forward past my shins, and I'm just gonna keep bringing them back in front and keep thinking of them just as a tool, right? If I lose the bottom one, push away a little with the top one and bring the bottom one back in. If I lose the top one, keep the bottom one in strong and then bring the top one in instead. And so this is all we're doing. Don't think about bringing in butterfly hooks yet. Don't think about pushing with our feet yet. Just think about using these shins as a frame, keeping her away and making this space that I'm going to need for my guard. That's all we're looking at from here, right? Moving around from there. Okay, we're going to switch top and bottom. You guys should too if you have a partner. And now, same idea. She's going to tip over slightly. I'm going to get past that shin, and now she's going to recover it. And now we're just going to play. Begin, go. Keep using these shins and cycling the legs, exactly. Right, more than anything else, you're just practicing the feel of your shins acting like another, yeah, very good, another wall for the person to try and get past. There's lots of techniques to kind of thread through the legs, to pin them, to control them. Right now, we just want the person on the bottom to get a feel for how these shins are tools. I get my hands in here and start moving the legs away. Good, and she keeps recovering, keeps moving. Constant movement from the person on the bottom is super valuable. We don't want to just be frozen and hope that it works out. One of the things about no-gi jiu-jitsu is that it tends to not get static, lock into one position. We don't have grips to hold on to each other, and so there's a lot of constant movement with these shins. Very good, yeah, nice. And time, good. Maya, come on in and play the bottom side. Jen's going to work to pass again. And again, this drill is for the person on the bottom. So person on the top, don't get too aggressive with trying to like win this game. Your job's not to win the game. Your job is to get them better at using their shins. We want to keep our knees a bit apart. We don't want them to collapse together because a lot of passes will involve collapsing our legs. And the more that you can kind of keep the knees a little bit apart, shins acting as these frames, these shields, the better off you'll be. Keep going, 30 more seconds. And then we'll switch top and bottom for the last set. Again, if you are at home alone, I want you to think of your shins like they're just a pair of, I don't quite know what. We would use our shins kind of like a pair of beacons pointing towards where the attacker is. We always want to have those lines pointing at them. I use this idea with our knees of the headlights. You always want your partner inside the headlights. Shins, think of it the same way. The planes of your shins, we want to keep them within those lines. And time, switch top and bottom, last one. Once again, thank you all for joining us. If you haven't already, and you can, hit the share button right by the side of the display here so that the other people that are your friends on Facebook who might not be following us already can see that this class is happening and jump on in to the second half. Very nice. Last one or two. One moment. And time. Very nice. Okay. So we worked on our posts and our frames with our legs. We're now going to work on our posts and our frames with our arms. We're going to start here with, my students are familiar with this technique or this tool quite a bit, but I think it's one of the least utilized parts of guard retention. And it's a hand post, and specifically a cross post. If you become effective with this technique, it will make a large number of people unable to finish passing your guard. And that's kind of the beauty behind this technique, is that often your partner will feel as though they've almost passed your guard. They've gotten all the way there, and it's in the last moment that you recover it. It's often in many techniques, the last 10% where the thing falls apart. So we're gonna look at the cross post. Now, Jennifer has started passing that guard, but she's gotten further. She's on her knees, and she's already gotten around the corner of my legs, and probably in this case, I don't feel like I'm gonna get my legs back, right? She's on her way to closing the gap, and it's gonna be too late. So what we're gonna do, the goal, it's called a cross post because I'm pushing across to the opposite shoulder. So my top arm is pushing her far shoulder, not the close shoulder, because she can kind of just wiggle her shoulder past that. And once she does, I'm in a lot of trouble. And I'm not using my bottom arm. It doesn't really have the angle for it. My top hand is pushing on the shoulder, and I would like to lock out the elbow and create this line from one shoulder all the way through the other, all the way through my hand. And we're gonna add one last element. My thumb on this hand is gonna engage underneath the arm, into the armpit. If my hand stays over here, it can work, but especially if someone's already a little bit sweaty, or certainly if they work on a technique of I'd use this arm, just swim inside. Right, go ahead. My hand's gonna get popped off and I'm gonna actually be in a lot of trouble. She has a good angle towards my back. When we tuck the thumb in, that inside motion, go ahead, swim inside. It runs into a little more trouble. If she just starts pushing forward without the arm, right, without the arm, this thumb makes it so the chance of my hand sliding over the top is small. And so this thumb makes a difference. Sometimes it's the smallest things that make the difference between a technique working or not. And so the game we're gonna play is Jennifer is simply gonna keep like attacking forward with her body weight, right? And I'm gonna keep posting away. Again, if we do this properly, it's about bone and structure. It's not about trying to tricep press our partner away from us, from here. And then every so often, insert that bottom shin. That bottom shin, the frame that we just worked on, that's ultimately where we get to. Don't get too caught up with that though, because this is all about this top posting hand. This isn't about the bottom shin. The bottom shin is just how you would use it in real life. So let's begin. Jennifer's just gonna move around and try to get that upper body close to me, right? If I ever lose it, just back up, regain it, and go from there, right? Very good, yep. My other hand right now is just kind of getting in the way and adding to help. Think of this hand, my left hand, my top hand, as the important one, and the other one is like helping it do whatever I need to do. The bottom hand ultimately would start attacking, keep going, would start attacking like Kimuras and would start underhooking legs and things like that. But right now, it's just kind of assisting the top hand, which is doing all of the work. Let's switch up on. Reset over here a little bit, come this way. Good. So we're starting having already beaten the legs. So I'm past her legs. The legs aren't coming into play anywhere nearly as much. Jennifer's top hand is gonna hook on in and is gonna keep me away. I weigh a lot more than she does, right? So the idea is if her elbow is bent and she's in here and I just sag my weight, she couldn't go ahead and push. It's a real struggle. She's gonna eventually give up. Or more to the point, her arm's eventually gonna tire out. She's gonna let it go. If she locks this out, go ahead, lock out the elbow, yep. And now I dangle my weight, she can hold on to me up here pretty easily, right? She wouldn't wanna sit there all day, but she doesn't need to sit there all day. She only needs to sit there long enough to recover her guard. So even when there's a big size mismatch, if you can get there with the elbow locked out early, it's incredibly effective. If the elbow is bent, I'm gonna collapse it with my body weight, which is where posts, I think, are a little more valuable than frames. Begin, go ahead, moving around, right. Nice. Notice I'm mainly just kind of walking my upper body forward, right? I'm occasionally using my hands to break the grip, nothing too much, right? I'm not trying to win the game, I'm just trying to give her good input about what she might see in rolling or other training. Very good, yep. And notice she's not shoving me, she's not trying to launch me away, she's trying to keep me away. It's different. Go ahead, another 30 seconds, good. Lock that in, nice. This way a little bit. Very good. Very good, yeah. And time, good. Maya, come on in. She's gonna be on the bottom side of the frame, or bottom side of the post. Jen's there, and let's see. Both of you, why don't you move a little bit to me and a little bit back. Perfect, yep. Go ahead, you're off. Good. So that top hand, Maya, lock it out and get the thumb underneath the arm. So, yeah, exactly, very good. Yeah, Good, and whenever she knocks away, get it back there and keep that elbow locked out, good. Yeah. Think like a stiff arm in football, that we're locking our arm out. It's much harder for someone to get past it than if it's a muscle against a muscle fight. Very good, Maya, good. And again, I think for many people up through even like the purple and brown belt level, this is a super underutilized tool. It's not a technique, it's just a simple movement, but when you add it to the rest of the tools, you add it to the hooks and you add it to the feet and you add it to your legs, it's just one more tool in your toolbox, and I think way few people actually utilize it than could. Stay on your side a little bit more, yeah. Yeah. And time. Switch top, bottom, last one. Nice, man. Yep.
So to keep this one away.
Look, yeah. When I turn like towards her a little bit more, and also we're coming out of the frame. Let's go back towards the mirror. 30 more seconds, and I did. This is what we would consider basically mini battling, where the idea is that it's not a full positional training. Positional training meaning you do whatever you want from a specific position. Here it's even more prescribed than that, right? We're in a specific position and we're working on just one task. We're just working on this cross post, right? If this was actually Maya trying to pass Jennifer's guard and Jennifer just retaining her guard, she has a whole bunch of other tools to it. But right now, they're only using this one tool at a time. And that's kind of the point, is that isolating just this one thing. And if you train later with a partner who has not put the time into this exercise, they will not be as effective at the other side of it than you will be at your side of it. And time, okay? Last one of our 4, we did our post with the legs, we did our frame with the legs. We just did our post with our hands. We're now gonna do our frame with our hands. And the frame with the hands, many of you are more familiar with, right? Often I will notice that people will, at the very end of getting their guard pass, will almost too quickly go to frames. They'll ignore the post, they'll let the guard pass happen, or at least they'll kind of concede it a little too soon so that they get to their frames. Frames are great and they're your way to escape, but they don't last forever. If the person on top starts shredding your frames very quickly, then what's gonna happen is that you've got these excellent frames, you're ready to escape, and then they're gone, and getting them back is a lot harder than getting them initially. So whenever you get frames, your goal should be almost immediately to start working on your escape, getting to a better position. If you're just sitting there, the person on top has just an equal chance of demolishing your frames as you do for keeping them. And so that's what we're gonna work on a little bit here. So now, Jennifer got a little further. If you actually think about the way we went through these 4 elements, each one, I won't say it was a failure of the last one, but like our partner is getting closer and closer to this dominant position. We're getting further and further behind. So by the time we get to upper body frames, we're pretty far behind. We're not necessarily, I mean, you could call this full side control. She hasn't connected her hands. She hasn't flattened me out. So it's not a very good side control, but she's on her way to getting very close to a dominant position. I've already, my feet aren't in the game anymore. My leg frames aren't in the way anymore. My post is kind of gone, especially if she's turned facing me, right? This post is definitely not a post anymore. And all I've got left are my frames. Let's rotate a little bit. Good. So the top frame goes from shoulder to shoulder. I want to have my hand, if I can tuck it in there as well, that's cool. We can also take this hand and go over the top to create a small fulcrum to push into the throat. And the other forearm is going to be down here by the waist. And now from here, it's still a mini battle, but we're going to make it a little more open. Jennifer's job is to try and get her hands on the inside of my frames. If she can get to here, then she's succeeded. None of my frames are engaged at all. If I can use my frames to recover a guard, certainly get all the way into a butterfly or something, then I've succeeded using my frames. If I can even get my frames, come back in, to take me back to a post, then I'm already gaining some ground, I'm gaining some space. And now I've gotten to a shin, and now I've gotten to a foot post, and we're all the way back to our furthest version of the guard, the furthest distancing. So, in we are, here we go, we start, I've got these frames, and begin, start just playing around. Jennifer's gonna try and unwind these frames, right, from on the inside, exactly. Right, I'm gonna keep repommeling back inside. Right, see, notice how when she gets on the inside of this frame's gone, I need to bring it back inside. Now she's gonna come inside again, and this time when I start to come inside, she's gonna block the inside direction. Go ahead, just bring that elbow in, right? And suddenly, uh-oh, this is now a problem, and it comes over the top. This is where we're playing, go, keep playing. Anytime I do recover my guard, we don't have to like stop and celebrate it, just like unreset it and go back to here. The goal here is to get a ton of volume in of practicing these frames. Now, keep going, keep going. And time. Let's switch top and bottom. Hopefully we didn't lose you on the frame on the framing side of the camera altogether, but maybe a little bit. She's gonna come towards me a little. Yeah, come a little closer, a little closer. Okay. And now legs aren't in the game at all. One frame across my neck, one frame across my from hip to hip. And this is a kind of key jiu-jitsu point in general. These 4 points, my 2 shoulders and my 2 hips, they create this rectangle that is where my entire upper torso is contained. And so her elbows are on the right 2 elements, the shoulder and the hip, and her hands and wrists are on the left 2. And so if she can create this frame of all 4 positions, it's going to be very hard for me to make this upper body connection. And begin. No, nice. Push, push, push. Yeah. Don't let the partner come in close enough that your elbows get collapsed to your side. You're never going to push them away. If that happens, good. Person on top, you're mainly heavy, and you're working to kind of get on the inside of all these frames so it all falls apart. Very good. Yep. If you're by yourself practicing this framing drill, then just keep on working on shifting and shrimping and re-pommeling your arms back in, just like you see Jennifer doing here on the bottom. Yep, very good. And time, very good. Last set. Maya comes on in on the bottom. Jennifer's on the top. Move a lot towards me and a bit towards the mirror. Good. Maya, get on your side. Left arm across the shoulder line, bottom hand across the hip line, and begin. Very good, Maya. Yep. Space makes all the difference when you are on defense. When you are on offense, your goal is to limit the options of your partner, right? Limit them ultimately down to exactly one option, which is to tap. The more space there is, the more options there are. The more space there is, there's more places for them to put their limbs. There's more places for them to move. And time, switch top bottom, last set. So when you are on defense, your goal is to make space. When you are on offense, your goal is to get rid of space. There are few exceptions to that idea. And when you are in either a dominant position or an inferior position, and you're not sure exactly technically what to do, that should be your thinking. If I am in an inferior position, make space. If you want to think about it kind of in an exaggerated way, if your goal was to strangle me and I was across the street from you, it's going to take a bunch of steps on your part, right, to actually be able to strangle me. The further away I am, the harder it is. And that applies when we're very close as well, just in smaller scales. The further I am away, the harder it is for you to attack me, the harder it is, or the easier it is for me to escape, to find ways out. Last moment or two. Very good. And time. Very good. Give each other a high five. Good. So you guys can stay right where you are and just kind of turn towards the camera for a minute. Okay. So if this were a regular class here in the dojo, this would be the point where we would start doing some rolling. I'm going to suggest, if you're able to roll, if you have a partner with you at home, I'm going to suggest that you feel free to do whatever kind of rolling you want. But for the last like 15 minutes of kind of our class time here, why don't you guys roll where you're focusing on guard passing and guard retention, and the person who's on the bottom, try to engage more posts, right? We're so used to hooks and kind of controlling by wrapping up around them. The thing about posting and framing is that it doesn't feel as reliable because you don't have as much control over your partner. You're not holding them where they are. Think of a closed guard. Your legs are wrapped around their waist and you're holding onto them tight. It feels very controlling. Posting and framing can be just as advantageous, can be just as controlling, but it doesn't feel that way. So you just have to get comfortable with it. It can change like that. They can move quickly. They can break down your posts. And so you just need to be comfortable recovering them, not having this kind of long-term static position, but instead just touching and pushing and then going to the next thing. And as they change what they're doing, you change what you're doing. It just takes practice and willingness to kind of fail a lot, get your guard passed a bunch of times, figure out when you should be using it. And I'm not saying that the hooks and the wraps and all the other controls shouldn't be used. Of course they should. We're just trying to focus on this one element that I think is a little less utilized as much as those other tools. So feel free to get a bit more in on your own. If you're by yourself and you feel like going through any of these other drills, if you came up with any kind of a variation of the drills that we did with partners, if you came up with a variation that you did by yourself that you liked a lot, let us know about it. Take a photograph, send it over to us, or just describe it. I'd love to hear it so that I can pass it on to other students next time. Jiu-jitsu is a bit harder to do by yourself or even to do with a partner in a home environment. Most of us, we live in New York, most of us do not have an apartment or a house that has like a big open empty space. Most of you don't have mats at home and a carpet just doesn't feel the same. You feel dinged up and such. So jiu-jitsu is a harder thing to do. I would like to take a moment to suggest to my jiu-jitsu students that are here to give one of our karate classes a try as well. Karate lends itself to being done at home 1,000 times more. You don't need very much space and you definitely don't need mats, you don't do that. And we've got a lot of great instructionals popping out on that. I'm gonna release one probably in the next couple days that is specifically like an absolute bare bones introduction to karate. Like what is it, why are we doing it, what are the most basic stances and ideas behind it. When we think of it as a very different martial art, different thing to enjoy, it's something that I think a lot of people like doing both sides of, instead of thinking them as like a competition with each other. Like, oh, I do jiu-jitsu, I don't do karate. Oh, I do karate, I don't do jiu-jitsu. No, no, no. The most interesting martial artists do a lot of different things for a lot of different reasons. So hopefully you might find an opportunity to do that as well. Yep, Jennifer would like to say one last thing. We'll call it a class.
So for those of you who are joining us who are not Upper West Side BJJ students, feel free to go to our YouTube channel, UWS Kenshikai. You can subscribe to that channel, and there's a whole bunch of videos up there, jiu-jitsu videos, karate videos. Anyone who would like to donate to our school up here, it is on our website at www.uwskenshikai.com. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
One last point also about the website. If you go to our website, you'll notice we just added a page that we call our at-home page. There's a link to it on the homepage, our regular homepage at uwsbjj.com or uwskenshikai.com. It goes to the same place. That link takes you to the at-home. And what the at-home page is a list of the most recent video for each section. So pre-karate, kids karate, kids jiu-jitsu, adult karate, adult jiu-jitsu. There's a link to the most recent YouTube video of a class from each one. So go there as well. And as Jennifer just said, you can subscribe to our page, the YouTube page as well. And hopefully we'll see you at home some more. Great. Bye.